All right, today we're going to learn some halachas about Rosh Chodesh. It's upcoming Rosh Chodesh and Hashem next week. So, the Gemara in Megillah, Daf Chav Beis Amud Beis. The Gemara says like this: Rabbi Rosh Chodesh, and it's interesting. It's not noticeable so much, but what the Gemara says of it. Toshma, Zakral Kol Sheyesh Bitul Malacha La'am. Going tiny sibur with Tisha B'av Koyrim Gimel. The Gemara talks about different days. We have different aliyahs, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the Gemara says if there is a day of bitul malacha, we're going to have too many oilim laTorah, too many people. People are going to have bitul malacha. They're not going to be able. They're going to have to cut short their work. So that we do only 3. We don't have the people more than 3, which is which days they are. Tiny sibur with Tisha B'av. You're allowed to do malacha really in those days. So that's why Koyrim Gimel. We only leave it at 3. But she'en bitul malacha la'am. When you're not causing any bitul malacha, which day there's no bitul malacha, Rosh Chodesh and B'chula Shal Moed, because people don't go to work anyway, Koyrim Dalet. L'choyre, Chol HaMoed we understand, we're only allowed to do only Meleches Oved, otherwise, there's some restrictions over there, fine. But Rosh Chodesh, everybody L'choyre goes to work. We don't know anybody don't go to work in Rosh Chodesh. So why it says over here, Rosh Chodesh we read like Chol HaMoed 4, because they don't work anyway. There's no bitul malacha. So that's the question that really Tosfos over here asked this question. He says like this: the kasha do perek and doivshin v'chagiga amrin Rosh Chodesh yechiach shesh b'korban musaf u'muter basiyas malacha. So there is bitul malacha. If you're going to give 4 people laning on Rosh Chodesh, that they have to, cut a little bit short on their work. You mavatal them from malacha. So the Tosfos says the vada mutaru basiyas malacha la'anoshim. Men allowed to work on Rosh Chodesh. Aval noshim asuras b'malacha. L'fishel porku nizmen v'maisahu egel. Women, the restrictions on asiyas malacha on Rosh Chodesh is only for women, not for men. The reason for it, we're going to see in a minute, because they were not participating in asiyas egel. The male, so that's the Gemara over here talks about that there's no bitul malacha. Refers to the women, and the Gemara Chagiga that says that the Mutarim Malacha talks about the man. No, the kasha is still here. Who's getting aliyas? The man, not the woman. So still the man could do work. So you mavatal them, you give them 4 aliyas, you're cutting short their work time. So hadra kushya leduchta. Okay, so the Emes says if we see in the tour brings and then the Noise Kelov tour, they bring a lot of opinions on Linyan Malacha on this day, on Rosh Chodesh, and as we see, there's mamash going from one extreme to another. How far is Isur Asiyas Malachim on Rosh Chodesh? So the Mordechai brings the Mordechai. The Malacha Kaveda, the Mordechai brings the reed. The Malacha Kaveda, Kagan Lachresh, Vilizroya, plowing, planting, Osur Afla Noshim. So even man cannot make heavy work. Whatever today we don't make so many farmers, but let's say it would be plumbing or moving any heavy malacha today, not maybe office work. That would be also even la noshim. Say like this. The Rosh Chodesh and also basiyas malacha. Kosva toises, yeah. The Rosh Chodesh haynu minag ba'al mashen, meaning. So according to the Chorah we see, then he brings the Tosfos. That's opposite shita. The Beisayis brings it. Here's the Tosfos in Maseches Shabbos. The Tosfos Daf Chavdam is like this. Bodom per Gimel the culture bitul malacha la'am kagantani stibur b'tishol v'karim shlosha v'shem bitul malacha la'am kan Rosh Chodesh v'chol shal moed karim dalet. Mashma Rosh Chodesh there's no bitul malacha. There's no that you're allowed to work. It says dahainu minag ba'alma. It's only minag. There's no isur. It doesn't say man, woman. According to this mashma, so the bottom line, we are giving them 4 aliyahs because we feel we're not mevater them, because it looks like some people at the minhag not to do work. It's memela that you're not so much mevater so many people. So whoever has the minhag not to do work, they probably could stay longer in the shul. Okay, like I said, it's a very gray area. According to the Torah, it's only a minhag. According to the Mordechai, not only a woman not allowed to work, even a man to do melachas kvedas. Okay, but then the Bach says like this. They go, the Bach in the Beit talks about what the tour brings over here like this, that all the Regolim and the Rosh Chodesh, they correspond to the Ovis. The Shloisha Regolim we have, they correspond to Avram, Yaakov. Avram can get Pesach, Yitzchak can get Shavuos, and Yaakov can get Sukkot. He brings the reasons why, and he says, V'yud Beis Rosh Chodesh, and the 12 Regolim can get Yud Beis Shvatim. That's the tour brings over here, in Tov Yud Zayin. He said, Ukshechotu be'egel nitlu mehem. When the Tcheta Egel, Hashem took away this Yom Tov. Rosh Chodesh used to be a Yom Tov, connected to Yud Beis Shvatim, Yud Beis Rosh Chodesh. And the Chodesh Yud Gimel, because we split the Shvatim, Menashe and Ephraim. So that's the Shnasa Ibur correspond to the Yud Gimel. Akaponim, when they made Chet Egel, Hashem took away the Yom Tov. Then v'nitlu len shoysayim lezech shloyo bo'isr Chet. They were not in that Chet Egel. That many bring this Rashi and so it's from Birkat Rabbi Eliezer. Since they were not in this Chet, so that became a Yom Tov for women. Okay, we still have the kasha Yom Tov for women. So men they could work. If the man could work, why are you giving them 4 aliyahs? Leave it like a regular Yom Chol. Anyway, so Lagabe this Indian, he brings like this. He brings, by the way, the Tur brought this, the Indian of Yom Tovim and Rosh Chodesh from his brother Rabbi Yehuda. So that Beis Yosef asked on this Tur like this, in Toimar, he can Echi Komer Rabbi Lezer, Lekach Nitzal Magad Baruch Hu Schoron, the Keman Shekvar Nitnu Rosh Chodesh L'Yisrael. How could you say Hashem rewarded women? They should not do work. And by the way, that's a good shiur for women. If they want to tell their husbands, we're not working Rosh Chodesh. This is their idea. They have a strong proofs of it. They don't ask them to work. They don't have to do anything. So he said this, what kind of reward is this? He says like this. If we had already Rosh Chodesh Yom Tov before Chet HaEgel, everybody had it, including man, woman. And Hashem took it away from men, but because the women were not participating in Chet HaEgel, they still have the original. So what kind of reward is this? No reward. You didn't give them anything. You just didn't take away from them. What is the reward? That's the shaila of the Beis Yosef. It says like this. Meaning before Chet HaEgel it was just Rosh Chodesh. It was not in Isra Melacha. He said, then Hashem took away by Chet HaEgel when Hashem wanted later on to introduce to them Isra Asiyas Melacha Rosh Chodesh. He didn't give this to the men because of it, but he did give it to the women. So the schar is, it was no Isra Asiyas Melacha before. There wasn't a plan of Hashem. They didn't give it to Isra Asiyas Melacha yet. So that's one answer he brings, and he brings another answer. The originally there was already Isra Melacha on Rosh Chodesh before Chet HaEgel. When we got this next week, we read about Rosh Chodesh and Parshas Boy. So it says like this: the Meikara, when they give us an Inyan of Kiddush HaChodesh and Inyan of Rosh Chodesh, there was Isur Asiyas Melacha. But he said, but the Isur Asiyas Melacha was only for men, not for women originally. By Chet HaEgel, it switched. He took away the Isur Asiyas Melacha from the men. Says you could work for you. It's Yom Chol. I'm taking away this Yom Tov from you, man, and I'm giving now instead. So that's the reward. The new Yom Tov became for women. They now Ostiv Melacha. Yeah, we still have the same kasha. Why are you giving 4 aliyahs? The bottom line, for the man, it's a regular day. Where is the 4 aliyahs? According to the Mordechai, it's understood, even they cannot do big malachas, lachrash with Israel. So that was the main malachas those days. Memela, since they have more, that is up the inyan of a malach on them, they cannot do big malachas, so Memela, they have more time, they could have another aliyah. But according to others, it's kasha. So here's what the Bach says. Without going back on just the bottom line, that explains, I think, a little bit what's going on with Inyan of Isra. Because Lamaisa, we see today, there's really people not knowing any Isra Malacha, not men, not they do everything karogel. Nobody sees any difference on Rosh Chodesh today. So here's what the Bach says over here. He says like this, that you really, if you want to do any malacha, whether man or woman, you could do malacha. But he says, but a man cannot, he says, force his wife with certain things. That's her obligation to do the laundry, to bake, to cook. He says he cannot demand from her on Rosh Chodesh to do any of those malachas, and he cannot, if he would have servants or workers. He talks about over here servants, avodim, not workers. But L'choyre says over here you cannot koife your servants to do any malacha. You cannot koife them because there's an optional day of taking off today. It's like a semi-holiday, semi-yom tov. But he says, but a person on its own wants to do malacha, he could do it. That's what the conclusion of the Bach. On its own, somebody cannot force you to do malacha. Okay, so according to this would be, that's why they gave 4 aliyahs on Rosh Chodesh, because a person could take off today. He has the ability. Memela, probably some people took off today for Rosh Chodesh. Memela, there was more time to give the fourth aliyah. That's why we don't see today so many people taking a Rosh Chodesh. But theoretically, they could. It's a shtickle semi yom tov, man and woman, especially women. That's their yom tov. They have to show some kind of difference between Rosh Chodesh and regular days.